trying when I know there's something to live for. I keep fighting, but I know I'm losing the battle. And it's hard to see the sun. I keep trying when I know there's something to live for. You're not saying I'm like why? I keep fighting, but I know I'm losing the battle. I keep trying when I know there's something to live for.
Yo, what's up? What's up? This your guy Ray Hanma, one versus a million. Hopefully, my voice is good, a little bit better than last time. But yes. So this is the Hanma Force. This will be the Hanma Force movie night tonight. This is the introduction stream to the movie night. So right after this, I'll be conducting movie night. So no matter what time it ends up being, but best believe I'm not gonna make this like past like 2 hours. I bet best believe that. But no. Thank you for coming over. This is the Force Geek News, the Geekverse News, and yeah, we'll be, sharing some stuff, sharing some videos of some going over comics and just Hollywood and anime and all that different stuff. So we'll be going into news and coverage of all that. So yeah, and talk about different characters and new projects of stuff coming out. So yeah, please don't forget to hit the like, share, follow, subscribe. Yeah, we're gonna be getting into it. Best believe it. But yes, and one of them I want to talk about real quick. I'm just thinking about downloading the video of, but I just decided not to. Yeah, because it was a short video anyway. But yeah, but it's about Predator Badlands, right? Predator Badlands is supposed to be coming out next month. I have to believe at the end of next month. And yeah, there was, a bunch of talk about it. Like people's talking about basically like of how they are upset with the marketing team of Predator Badlands, and I forgot the damn dude's name, who who wrote story for Prey, who's conducting this movie. People are pissed because they are showing too much. Hear me? Too much content, too many trailers. Yes, I mean I'm all for that. I am all for that. Yes, like and one of the guys from Marvelous Videos, he did a stream. No, not a stream. He posted a quick video about it, like a 5 minute video talking about how like yeah, um, and and news to all other franchises out there. Yeah, stop doing this shit. We you don't need to give us so much of the content. In order to fill up seats. I mean, for theaters and shit. So yeah, I'm all for that. Like, just come out like with a 1 or 2 time badass trailers. You know what I mean, and let it be that. You know what I mean? Like, show some like badass scenes out of like one badass scene out of 10, and we'll be fine with that. Especially too, if people been fucking with the franchise. So yeah, I mean that makes total sense. But I have some videos I want to share with you guys. They're not long. Each of them are not long, like past no 30 minutes and that, so we're good. But yeah, we'll be covering like some new stuff that came out, and you'll be seeing it at the same time as me. This is the first time of me seeing it, so yeah. I don't know if you guys seen it before, but these brothers have gotten plenty of views on it. One of them is from Comics Explained. Another one from a good brother, Double Spill Comics. So, So yeah, one of them is about a Hulk, and I got another video talking about Ghost in the Shell, some facts about it. So yeah, it kind of intrigued me from my Marvelous videos, and yeah, it's just came out like what, less than a week ago, and I'm really kind of curious about it because I'm very hip to that franchise. So with the exception of a couple of series that I'm missing out on, apparently, that I haven't seen yet. Pissed, but shall get around to it. But yeah, so let's check out one of these videos real quick. Man, I hope my voice is coming in better. Well, you can say this is kind of like a little test stream too, since it's an introduction to the movie night. But yeah, so let's go. Let's check this video out.
One of the films that played an important role in introducing anime films to the Western audience is the 1995 film Ghost in the Shell, which was created as a joint venture between Japan and the United Kingdom. Directed by Mamoru Oshii, the film has garnered a cult following and has inspired many filmmakers. A live-action remake and a non-canonical sequel have also been made for the film. Before we explore some facts about this film, we have a small request for you. Tap that subscribe button, as we would love to have you as our subscriber. Done? Then let's dive right in! Number 1. Animation Pioneer. In 1995, CGI, or computer-generated imagery, was not as advanced as it is now, and many believed that the future of animation would be digitally generated animation, or DGA. Use of CGI for 2D animation was also mostly unheard of, so the animators for Ghost in the Shell used DGA, a wonderful blend of computer graphics, cell animation, and audio entered as digital data. DGA was ideal as it allowed digital cell work to be combined with the visual displays and traditional animation to be combined with computer graphics. The digital cell work consisted of original compositions, illustrations, and manipulations along with traditional cell animation that created a sense of depth to evoke emotions and feelings. Their editing work used the Avid system of Avid technology, as it was the more versatile option with fewer limitations as compared to other methods. It was an added bonus that the system worked with all the different types of media in a single environment.
That's getting me.
Number 2. More new approaches to ensure realism. Animators went to new lengths to make sure Ghost in the Shell looked as real as possible. To create a sense of depth and motion, filters such as lens effect were used that distorted the front ground and made the far background out of focus. Their lighting system, which art director Hiromasa Okura has described as very unusual, is understandably unique, as it integrates light and darkness into the cells, with proper attention to the light and shadow sources instead of controlling light using contrast. Hanma software was used to render some special effects, like Motoko's thermal optical camouflage. They used a single illustration and manipulated the imagery to create distortions for the effect, all without changing any part of the original illustration. This effect was re-added into the shot to create the perfect scene. Though the visual displays used in the film were not that hard to create technically, the production team revised the changes numerous times to make sure the scenes represented visual displays of the future as perfectly as possible. Animation director Mizuho Nishikubo was the man in charge of realism, and he made sure that all depictions of effects and movements were as real as possible. The staff also conducted firearms research at a facility in Guam to nail the scenes. One great example of their attention to detail was the tank scene, as the bullets create sparks when they hit the metal but not when they hit the stones. The Seburo C-26A, Major Kusanagi's weapon, is inspired by bullpup submachine guns. Every machine and piece of hardware was designed to look real, functional, heavy, and well-engineered. The CRT monitors in the film have also been drawn and animated to flicker like they would in a live-action film. This approach to the film is what makes it such an excellent cyberpunk film. The depiction is much closer to plausibility than it is to fantasy. Number 3. The original manga and title. Ghost in the Shell was inspired by the Japanese cyberpunk manga series of the same name, written and illustrated by Masamune Shiro. In Japanese, it was titled Kokaku Kidotai, which roughly translates to Mobile Armored Riot Police or Shell Squad. The series was first published in Kondansha's Young magazine from 1989 to 1990. In the beginning stages of the manga, Shiro was considering the title Armored Shell, but decided on Ghost in the Shell as an homage to Arthur Koestler's philosophical and psychological book, The Ghost in the Machine, which was an inspiration to Shiro. Koichi Yuri, a coordinator at Young magazine, requested a flashier title, and Shiro decided on Kokoku Kidotai. Shiro wanted the title to include Ghost in the Shell, even if it was in small print, and Shiro got his wish. The title, you have to admit, is pretty badass. Number 4. A more serious adaptation. If you've read the manga and watched the 1995 adaptation, you will have noticed that the tone both pieces of media take, despite being essentially the same plot-wise, is very different. Shiro's manga is very lighthearted with a lot of humor, frequent chibi interludes to show funny moments, and author notes that broke the fourth wall to give more insight into the world Shiro had created. So why this major change? Director Mamoru Oshii deliberately made these changes to remove all the humorous bits, to make sure they didn't distract from the serious question at hand. What does it mean to be human? He also cut down on the action scenes, which frustrated production studios, as action sequences were one of the main reasons that brought audiences to the theaters. We definitely recommend reading the manga if you haven't already, as it's a great study in slight genre shifts within the same storyline. Character designer and key animation supervisor Hiroyuki Okiura was in charge of creating the characters. Okiura was aware of Oshii's vision and how he wanted Ghost in Shell to be a serious philosophical meditation. So while designing Major Motoko Kusanagi, he made sure to depict her as more mature and matching her mental age than her physical and youthful 20s. This is why we get to see Kusanagi without her expressive face, exuberance, and rebellious nature. Instead, she's much more contemplative. Number 5. Bible reference. On the boat, the puppet master hacks Kusanagi and says that what they see now is like a dim image in a mirror and that they shall see face to face. At the end of the film, there's another dialogue that goes, "When I was a child, my speech, feelings, and thinking were all those of a child. Now that I'm a man, I have no more use for childish ways." Combined, these two dialogues make up Corinthians 13 verses 13 and 12 respectively, and are a direct quote from the Bible. Many have interpreted this to show the puppet master's incredible abilities of hacking or talking through others, which mimics God's ability to talk through people according to some beliefs and mythology. Number 6. Japanese wedding song. If you like the main theme of the film, Making of a Cyborg, you have composer Kenji Kawai to thank. In order to make a befitting theme, he imagined the setting and hoped to capture the essence of the world in music. Kawai mixed Bulgarian harmony and classical Japanese music to make the main theme, and combined it with the haunting choral of a Japanese wedding song, used to dispel evil influences. If you're wondering what it means, don't worry, we've got you covered. It says, "When you're dancing, a beautiful lady is drunk and rings the shining moon." A god descends for the wedding and morning approaches when the night bird sings with the word Tokamiye Mitame in the end. Tokamiye Mitame means God bless you. The song is fitting, especially as it plays during a union of Motoko Kusanagi and Project 2501 at the end of the film.
Section 6 is in position and ready to move in. Major, are you there?
Yeah, I heard you.
Number 7. Signature Basset Hound. As fans of director Mamoru Oshii will tell you, he has a spectacular directorial signature. He often has a Basset Hound that makes an appearance in all of his films. Ghost in the Shell also has this iconic dog. You can catch the Oshii signature during the boat chase scene that happens through the canals of Newport City. We see the Basset Hound sitting on a balcony, as he looks down to see the chase with an almost uninterested glance. Many believe that the dog is a stand-in for the director. Either way, the dog is a genius bit of film, as it juxtaposes the mundane reality in a world of high-tech sci-fi where nobody takes a second off. For the Basset Hound, life is as it ever was, and it remains unimpressed by all the technology surrounding it.
Mr. Daida wants political asylum from us, and we have his signed affidavit. What?
Number 8. References to Angel's Egg. There are many references in Ghost in Shell to Oshii's post-apocalyptic sci-fi film Angel's Egg, which follows an unnamed young girl protecting an egg and a boy she bonds with. The Tree of Life, situated in a room full of fossils, is directly taken from Angel's Egg, a movie that is also Oshii's first ever original work. The shot of Kusanagi watching her reflection in the water in a state of weightlessness mimics the scene in Angel's Egg, where the unnamed female protagonist falls into the water while still facing her reflection in the water. Another similarity is the feathers that appear in the climax of both Angel's Egg and Ghost in the Shell. Number 9. The ideal setting, Hong Kong. Oshii wanted the film to be set in an Asian city, and his choice was Hong Kong. To make the futuristic landscape of the world of Ghost in the Shell, Oshii chose the real streets of Hong Kong. While explaining why he chose Hong Kong, Oshii explained that it was a perfect setting. It had so many signs and formed a cacophony with its sounds. Takeuchi Atsushi, the mecha designer of the film, also noted that though the setting is futuristic, it is obviously based on Hong Kong, as it represents the theme of the film, which is the existence of both old and new in a strange relationship, at an age of information deluge. Before the scenes of the film were created, artists drew sketches of Hong Kong that emphasized the confusion, chaos, and overwhelming aspects of the city. Number 10. Sleeper hit, Ghost in the Shell was not considered a financial success, as it only garnered $10 million in the global box office revenue. Once it was released on home video, this changed. The total box office revenue, along with home video sales, rose to $43 million. If the film was not released on home media, there's a good chance that it would not have the love and cult following it does today.
23 minutes ago, her brain was hacked into through a data line.
Number 11. The Matrix Connection. Filmmakers and anime enthusiasts Lana and Lily Wachowski were inspired by Ghost in the Shell, and this inspiration is what fueled the creation of the Matrix series. The Wachowski sisters reportedly showed their producer Joel Silver Ghost in the Shell, and told him that they planned to do what the movie does but for real. The iconic green text, or digital rain, in The Matrix is one scene where we can see that inspiration at play, as it closely resembles the opening sequence of Ghost in the Shell. Another parallel is the way that characters access the Matrix through the hole situated in the back of their necks, which is similar to the way people communicate in Ghost in the Shell. There are many more parallels, like bullet impacts in water and watermelons exploding during a market chase, that make it clear the influence Ghost in the Shell had on the Matrix.
So no one would suspect malice?
Or maybe this is all an elaborate ruse to make us think.
Number 12. Even Cameron was blown away. James Cameron is a visionary director known for his work in the sci-fi genre. His notable films include The Terminator, Avatar, Aliens, and Titanic. Cameron, too, was a fan of Ghost in the Shell, as he reportedly sung praises of the anime. Speaking about the film, he's called it the first truly animated adult film that has reached a level of literary and visual excellence. He also called it a stunning work of speculative fiction. Cameron even cited Ghost in the Shell, along with a bunch of anime films, as the main inspiration for his Oscar-winning film Avatar. Number 13. Chart toppers. Ghost in the Shell is iconic in more ways than one. In August 1996, with over 200,000 VHS copies sold, it became the first Japanese film to top the Billboard video sales chart. And by the year 2002, more than 1.6 million copies of the film's home release were sold worldwide, with 100,000 units sold in Japan, and over 1 million copies sold in just the United States. In 2006, the film reached the 9th rank in the list of top-selling anime DVD films in all of North America.
It's hard to trace.
Number 14. Awards galore. Ghost in the Shell rightfully received a lot of recognition, awards, and accolades. It won the Best Screenplay Award at the Yokohama Film Festival. In the 24th Annie Awards, the film gained 5 nominations: Best Animated Feature, Oshii for Best Achievement in Directing, Kazunori Ito for Best Achievement in Writing, Hiromasa Ogura and Takashi Watabe for Best Achievement in Production Design, and Mitsuhisa Ishikawa, Shigeru Watanabe, Yoshimasa Mizuo, Ken Matsumoto, and Ken Iadomi for Best Achievement in Production. Though they didn't win any of those awards thanks to Toy Story, the movies created a record for having the most nominations for a Japanese animated film, a record that was only broken in 2024 at the 51st Annie Awards by both Suzume and The Boy and the Heron.
Thought I had enough time to bring my garbage down.
Number 15. The updated version. In an effort to show all the changes in animation technology and filmmaking, Oshii released an updated version of Ghost in the Shell titled Ghost in the Shell 2.0 in 2008. The film includes original footage with updated animations that were created using new animation technologies like 3D CG and new digital film. Kenji Kawai rearranged and re-recorded the original soundtrack in 6.1 channel surround. Japanese dialogues were re-recorded as well, and some minor changes were made in the script to show the change in dialect and modernize the speech. Yoshiko Sakakibara was brought in to replace Iemasa Kayumi as the voice of the puppet master.
Yes, and that means we either deny Gavel the funds and treat Malice as a political refugee.
Marvelous verdict. These are all the fascinating facts about Ghost in the Shell. Did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, tap on that thumbs up. We'll soon be back with more insane facts, and until then, stay sane.
Yeah, man. So shit, that was pretty awesome, man. You know, a lot of that stuff I didn't know. I'm like, damn. Especially too of who came forth with the music. Like I kind of like familiar with the name. You know, the one who brought forth the music for Ghost in the Shell, the the glorious masterpiece of of music. Man, those orchestras in the background, yeah, man, just A1 all the way through, like no complaints. You know, and I kind of figured, you know, he mixed the some of the melodies up with some foreign ones, you know, because some of those instruments sound familiar that I heard in other songs as well. But but yeah, man, and a lot of sci-fi anime, they have no choice but to get their, you know, but to give respect to Ghost in the Shell because you know that's where they have to admit, you know, where they got their inspiration. And it's like the director um, for Avatar and The Matrix. I'll definitely say that. Yeah, he's right on that. The Matrix should definitely give their should pay tribute to what from what a Ghost in the Shell has brought forth. So the brilliance, you know, within the Ghost in the Shell. And yeah, and I got another one for you guys. So hopefully, yeah, my voice sounds good. Um, all right, I got another one. This one's comic related.
Since the beginning. You know, anytime I do a video on a story like this, Predator kills the Marvel Universe, I almost feel like I need to put out a disclaimer and let people know no characters from the main Marvel Universe were harmed in this production. Cause some of these comments go crazy like, God, no, take me instead. And I'd be like, hey, yo, chill, it's fiction. But with that said, more heroes are gonna die, but others are gonna get some really good hits in. So if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, this continues from when we saw Kraven hit Bruce with the ultimate rage bait. And Kraven is well aware of the grave danger that he's in right now, so he makes sure to move it as fast as he possibly can, because he knows the Hulk ain't no slouch. And as this continues on what's literally been described as a dark and stormy night, we're given some narration here that tells us a bit more about Kraven's motivations, with it saying the atmosphere shields us from space, roofs keep us dry, medicines fight disease, heroes protect the vulnerable. Earth believes itself to be a fortress, but Kraven knows better. We're all closer than we'd like to think to the jaws of nature claiming us. Even the Hulk. The best way to save her life is to keep company with death. And at this point, Kraven looking over his shoulder like, man, the Hulk a little faster than I thought. Like he wasn't expecting Bruce Banner to turn into I Show speed. But this goes on to say, Kraven is here to cure the world of its soft complacency. Anyone who wants to live like Vil will be slaughtered. Only those who fight back will earn the respect of a worthy death. And at this point, the Hulk just has a litter of those 3 red dots that you usually see before the Predator's plasma cannon goes off, because Kraven has just led him into a room full of Predators, and all of them just let off their cannons on the Hulk at the same time. and those plasma shots basically do nothing. And that's where these Predators, they try to fight the Hulk, hand-to-hand combat, as Kraven continues to keep it moving. But the only problem with these Yautja hunters trying to do the whole hand-to-hand combat with the Hulk is the fact that the Hulk, well, his hands are different, because he's out here just tearing these guys apart, like literally. And I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, it's obvious to any person who has general knowledge of either the Hulk or Predators. I think anybody could tell you like what would happen in this matchup. But for me, there's something about seeing it and also knowing how capable the Yautja hunters are. Because when you think about how capable they are, only to see one get stomped into a puddle of juice and another one catch a backhand and just fly out the window, man, it's just kind of like, yeah, Predators are very much a threat when it comes to chasing down someone who's human-like. But against the Hulk, it's not even a contest. So after the Hulk quickly clears his room, he continues on his way to go after Kraven. But for a moment here, we're shown a really brief flashback that tells us a bit about what happened after Spider-Man vs. Predator, when Kraven traveled with the Yautja to their home world. With it saying here, Kraven had never felt so at home than among the Yautja on their planet. They worshipped at the same altar of blood and sinew, go forth among the stars, and hunt the strongest prey. This was their shared doctrine. They taught him, and so he taught them in return. With their stores of vibranium, god metal, they had a worthy arsenal with which to launch their assault on the rich hunting preserve that is Earth, as we see the Yautja make a vibranium axe for Kraven. And I will say, this quick flashback, it makes me think of that 2010 Predator movie, the one with Adrian Brody. It makes me think of how I really wanted a sequel, and we never got it. And I mean, there was a comic that followed the events, but I also think a movie would have been nice. Just had to put that out there. But even now, with Kraven on the move, this goes on to say, they had a strategy for every single name on the list, including the Hulk. Because now this is where Kraven shows what he's really had planned this whole time, which as it turns out is a vibranium Hulk buster designed to drain the Hulk's gamma energy. And this almost makes it seem as if the whole plan of luring the Hulk into that room full of Predators, like sure, in a way it allowed Kraven to get a little bit more running room, but it almost seemed like a bit of a false positive. Like it was designed to make the Hulk think like, okay, that was it, as if that were the end game. So when the Hulk cleared that room and continued to chase Kraven, he might have had his guard down a bit. That's just what I'm thinking. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. But this vibranium Hulk buster, it's very effective and it leaves Bruce exposed. And as Kraven approaches, he tells him, "You remind me of the slow Loris Bruce Banner. It's a primate that looks gentle, but hidden inside, it is a toxic venom. You were the one I was most worried about." And right there, he just strikes Bruce down, killing him with the same vibranium axe we saw in the flashback. And now after this, when we head over to Logan, this has got to be one of the craziest moments in this story. And I think it only hits if you're familiar with the Predator vs. Wolverine story, because after seeing what happened there and then coming back here, it hits different. And I'll tell you why, because when Logan smells smoke and he sees this fiery glow coming from the Xavier Institute, he races back just to see the place going up in flames with the body hanging upside down and on fire in the upstairs window. And with the front door wide open, we can see that there's one of the Predators looking outside at him. But the next thing that happens without warning is Charles Xavier getting pushed outside, and this dude is cooked. And now the reason why this is so crazy is because what happened here at the Xavier Institute about 30 some odd years ago. And I mean, that's just a rough guess as far as the time frame, because none of this is taking place in the main Marvel universe. But with this being Benjamin Percy's continuation of the Predator vs. Wolverine series, as well as the other Marvel Predator vs. series, in Predator vs. Wolverine issue 4, the Predator in that story, who Logan had been going back and forth with for years, he attacked the X-Mansion and nearly killed Charles in the process, only for Logan to save Charles just in the nick of time. And it was like back then and even now, we're told how the X-Mansion is like a home to Logan and how the X-Men had became like a family to him, which would then make Charles like a father figure, even though he's younger. But back then when Logan saved Charles, it was kind of like a moment where it's like, oh man, that was close. So in the present day, for Logan to come back, only to see that Charles is actually dead in the exact same place, front door at the X-Mansion, where Logan saved Charles from a Predator all those years ago. It's kind of crazy to see, especially with it lining up this way. And it even says here, if this mansion is what Logan might call home, then Charles is who he might call father. This isn't the kind of pain his healing factor can solve. So yeah, for me, it's Logan finding out about Charles' death in the same place that he'd saved him. It just has me like, man, Logan gotta be hurting right now. And that's not even where it stops, because just behind Charles coming out of the mansion, you got Graveyard leaping out and going after Wolverine. And we've seen what this guy's done with this crazy powerful vibranium staff. Like, he's cleared battlefields with it, so we know where this could go if he cranked things up. And now just going off this first hit, not only does it knock Logan all the way back, but it takes like half his face off. And even though his memory has holes in it, Logan remembers fighting this kind of enemy before. and it definitely wasn't this same Predator. But Logan remembers that he had many encounters over the course of his life where he fought something very similar, with his very last encounter being not that long ago. And just after Logan gets knocked back, Nightcrawler bamfs here. He grabs Logan and he gets them out of there quick. And now we're also told here Graveyard had studied the kill list carefully. Wolverine was more than a worthy opponent. He was a coveted adamantium trophy. So yeah, Graveyard definitely wanted this kill to show his father, show his clan, and really show that he's worthy of his place as the first Predator under his father, the Predator King. Speaking of whom, that's who we head over to now, with him currently being on his ship on the dark side of the moon. And because both his son, Graveyard, along with Kraven, have seen success with their first wave, this is where the Predator King puts the next stage of their plan into motion, which from here involves sending out an insane amount of drones, both down to Earth and in Earth's orbit, with the intention of taking over satellites, space stations, power plants, data centers, dams, electrical stations, and launch docks, communication, infrastructure, defense, nuclear silos, because this isn't just about heroes and villains. They're taking the whole planet. And even speaking of the heroes and villains, the ones who we've seen get snuck up on, those attacks happen so quickly and so quietly in the scope of the larger picture that it's come to the point now where the Outer, they're not even trying to sneak anymore. And because all those other heroes were taken out so quickly and so quietly, there are so many others who didn't know anything was wrong until now. And at this point, with the Predator King starting the next phase, this also sends out a message that's clearly telling the world, even the most powerful among you can't stop us. And it's not just Avengers Tower or Stark Tower. There are conspicuous attacks taking place all over, because again, the Predator King is sending a message. And we're told here the King stands as Earth falls, and his army follows. And as he steps away from his throne and his army follows, it goes on to say, but there is still hope in Wolverine, in Iron Man, in Spider-Man, in survivors the world over. There is still hope and strength, as we see Sue, one of the survivors, tiptoeing around the Predator King's ship. And for a moment here, she was invisible, but nah, I don't know if that's going to be too useful, you know, with the Predator seeing thermals and all. But with that said, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and let me know if you guys think this story is going to have a happy ending or not. Because, you know, aside from me hoping that Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Wolverine all have their moments, since they each had their Predator versus miniseries heading into this, I'm hoping that that turns into something throughout this story. But aside from that, I got a feeling that there's a lot more heroes and villains who are just not gonna make it to the chopper. But let me know what you guys think. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel.
Damn. Yeah, that shit was something else, man. Yeah, I do remember that of Wolverine protecting Charles from being from being taken out by a predator before. And so yeah, and seeing him get taken out like that, yeah, that is kind of messed up right there in front of the front entrance of the mansion. And dude, and I'm like, yeah, if that's what the predator's saying, yeah, that nobody, no matter how powerful they are, you know, are not safe. Okay, damn it, I believe there's some characters they'll beat their ass straight up. And you know, like the show, the Hulk, yeah, the Hulk definitely ain't gonna have no problems. But as you know, as according to the lore, the Yachas have handled, you know, some wild human being. I mean, not human beings, some wild creatures, massive wild creatures. Hence the trailer of for Predator Badlands, where you had that Calic creature. I think that's what it's called. The big, massive ass creatures. Well, might as well say they're near as big as the Hulk. Look like they might give the Hulk problems. Who knows? But I probably doubt it. I doubt it. So, because the Hulk went up against things, you know, that were more powerful than whatever, you know, whatever they can bring. All the people he done faced off against, man, come on. We ain't gonna go there. So, and I know, and I can expect Wolverine to recover and to regroup. And if there is the same predator that he's been fighting or that's been hunting him, then I don't know. Yeah, Wolverine. I believe in my boy Wolverine. Yeah, he's gonna win. He's gonna win this battle. So yeah, can't wait for my boy Doseville Comics. Shout out to him. To come. Hopefully he comes out with the next issue. So yeah, we're gonna get into the next video. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to run through these real quick. So all right. So yes, if you got anything to say about it, boom, y'all can just throw it in the chat. I mean, in the comment section.
Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe now continues, with Godzilla making his way to Wakanda. And now the Black Panther, King of Wakanda. He has plans for the King of Monsters, but he just needs a little more time to get these plans in action. But until then, he's hoping that the Hulk can hold Godzilla off. So let's see how that goes, because this is definitely going to be different than the last time we had a Hulk versus Godzilla issue. But with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, this continues in the negative zone, where Reed, Ben, Sue, Captain America, and Mole Man have found themselves after Reed's attempt to trap Godzilla here went left, like we saw back in issue 1. So now we find Reed with his head embiggened, so he can allocate a bit more computing power towards finding a solution to get them out of this. And fortunately, it's at this time when future Herbie finds them with a message from future Johnny Storm. And this was something that we got a little bit of a tease of back in issue 2, when we got a glimpse into the year 2099 and we saw that Godzilla was still a problem, which is why the Fantastic Four of that time attempted this Hail Mary to send Herbie to the negative zone so he could find the Fantastic Four and fix the past, which Herbie was now able to do since he can track his way back to the Baxter building, because like we saw, a huge portion of that building was taken to the negative zone with Reed and the others. But all we're really shown in the here and now is that Herbie successfully made it back in time, and that he was able to find Reed and the others to give them this message from Johnny, which includes a solution for how they can get home. But right after we see this, we jump back over to Wakanda, where we find T'Challa welcoming the X-Men and the Avengers. And he also tells them here, just going off of the path that Godzilla's heading in, he knows Godzilla's accepted his challenge, but also they've noticed a number of powerful undersea earthquakes coming from Atlantis, which let him know that there's a good chance that Namor's already engaged Godzilla. And as T'Challa tells everyone that he wants to show them what they've been working on, the X-Men and the Avengers get caught up, and Magic lets them know here that she tried making a stepping disc big enough to disappear Godzilla, only for him to dive to the bottom of the ocean and avoid it. So T'Challa tells her, yes Magic, we've thrown all our best at this monster, only to come up short. However, Mole Man discovered a vibranium alloy that may present a weakness to the monster. We worked at our fastest pace and have a new armored personnel carrier with hull plating made of the vibranium alloy, as he shows them the Mecha Adaptoid Centurion Mark Avenger, which sounds like it was named by Microsoft. You know they can't come up with no simple names. But as of now, we're not shown this solution. Not yet. We're just more or less given a glimpse into this keynote presentation. But after seeing this huge mech, Cyclops is like, well, who's gonna pilot it? And T'Challa tells him, yes. He's like, we all are. Like, you get a steering wheel, you get a steering wheel, everybody gets a steering wheel. But really, while T'Challa's getting everyone set up, that's gonna take time to do, which is why he also wanted Banner to come to Wakanda so the Hulk could face Godzilla and buy them some time. And it's around this time when Godzilla arrives and Banner sees him and he's like, oh, here we go. And there's a moment here where Banner looks at Godzilla like, man, because Bruce kind of finds him relatable and he thinks there's a chance that Godzilla just wants to be left alone. But as it stands, without a way to communicate with Godzilla, in the here and now, Bruce has just got to do what he's got to do. So he injects himself with his serum infused with Giant Man's pin particles, and he tells the Hulk, GLHF. And this solution works insanely well, because now they've got a giant-sized Hulk who's ready to fight Godzilla. And Hulk is 1000% on board with this because he's like, okay, Banner made himself giant, so now Hulk is biggest and strongest one there is. And Godzilla wants all the smoke, so he lets off that signature roar that basically translates to let's get it poppin'. But right off the rip, when both the giant-sized Hulk and Godzilla exchange hits, first Hulk gets a good hit on Godzilla, only for the King of Monsters to whip right around with that big tail. Now this has Hulk like, man, that lizard hit harder than Thing or Thor. And that's where Hulk grabs the giant-sized vibranium alloy-infused hammer and puts it to use. And he's like, now Hulk have a hammer, like puny stupid Thor. And after that he grabs the axe and he says to Godzilla, Hulk axe question, do you want to keep your tail? Only for Godzilla to whip it around and hit the Hulk with it again. And I just imagine Godzilla's like, oh, you want my tail? Alright, here you go. Whack out. And now that the fight between these two is well underway, Shuri reaches out to T'Challa to give him the update, saying Shuri to Black Panther, Banner timed the pin particles perfectly, and the Hulk has engaged the enemy. So T'Challa responds saying, yes, our Richter scales are keeping us informed. The Gladiator is inbound. Because again, the whole point of Banner getting out there is to buy them some time, while T'Challa gets the other heroes ready. Because right now we find T'Challa getting Cyclops into position, with him leading Scott to this room that has him like, is this where you want me? It kind of looks like a cell. And T'Challa tells him, in a way, it is. And that's when Scott realizes a huge portion of this room is made of ruby quartz, just like Scott's visor. So he takes his off, because he knows he won't be needing it for a little while. But back over with the Hulk and Godzilla, we jump back in, with Godzilla roaring in the Hulk's face, point blank. And it has the Hulk like, Hulk deaf now. And I imagine the Hulk saying this like someone who cannot hear themselves speak, but I'm not even gonna attempt to sound like that. No, I'm not gonna do it. But this just leads to Hulk slamming Godzilla down on that huge vibranium axe, while telling him Godzilla have rage, but not like Hulk. So Hulk just starts stomping him, only for this to lead to Godzilla just grabbing that foot and twisting it up something serious. And as the fight continues, Hulk bites Godzilla. But when Godzilla bites Hulk back, that atomic breath starts to charge up. And now Hulk hears that sound and he's like, oh boy. Well, you can just tell by the look in Hulk's eyes, he knows it's gonna hurt. And the next thing we see is Godzilla shoot his atomic breath right through the giant-sized Hulk, which now just has the big guy like, man, I need a break. But Godzilla keeps going, because he uses his tail to get the vibranium axe out of his back before letting out that victory roar. But then someone else approaches, saying, you wretched, foul beast, you cur, you trespassed in my kingdom, you slew many of my finest warriors, and you thought me dead. But here stands Namor, first mutant, and king of Atlantis. Now comes a reckoning. The penalty for the destruction of Atlantis is death. Because now Namor's brought out Ebera, horror of the deep, who's like this huge shrimp-looking creature from the 60s. Got his own movie and everything. So it's almost like a classic rematch between the two in a way, between Godzilla and this creature, just now in Marvel with the addition of Namor, who also gets a hit in by catching Godzilla with a sonic clap before heading over to help the Hulk, his dear friend and fellow defender, who's now reverted back down to a normal size Hulk. So Namor picks him up and gets Hulk out of there, as Hulk reverts back to Bruce Banner. And now this fight between Godzilla and Ebera, it doesn't go on for long, because Godzilla just puts that tail back to use, knocking the poor fellow way back into the ocean, which now leaves nothing but space and opportunity between Godzilla and the rest of Wakanda. So whatever T'Challa's plan was to stop Godzilla, he's got to put it into action now, because every possible distraction has ran its course. And now this is where we're told the Black Panther knew the dangers of baiting Godzilla to his kingdom, but the Avenger knew that he would not face this threat alone. And that's when we see Cyclops in that ruby quartz room, asking Black Panther if he's ready before letting off his optic blast. And from what it looks like, Cyclops will just charge it up, so T'Challa can then use those blasts at his discretion, because after Scott lets off this blast, he's like, your first shot is locked and loaded. And right after that, when T'Challa says fire, we see the Mecha Adaptoid Centurion come down on Godzilla with a nasty kick, accompanied by that optic blast. And really, for all we know, it's possible that this mech could hold multiple optic blast charges, because there's a lot going on with this thing. And we'll see in the next issue how exactly they use everyone here, because it's packed with the Avengers, X-Men, Human Torch of the Fantastic Four. It looks like it has both Peter and Miles as web shooters, which is hilarious. They've got Storm in there, and on the feet, for the 2 feet, they have what appears to be Quicksilver and North Star. So yeah, this combination is about to be crazy. But that'll do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like or hype, and let me know if you think this mecha's got a chance against Godzilla, because I'm kind of looking at it like, is it better? There's a lot going on here. And really, if it's not enough, then Godzilla just might destroy this whole universe. Just saying. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill.
My dude, I was over here just eating my popcorn, man. Just like, oh, no, nigga. No, y'all got me messed up. That's the Hulk. That's the Hulk, damn it. I got smoke on that one. Insert my hot tea on this one. No, sir. No, never. You know what I mean? Knowing that, okay, well, so, but the Hulk is so, I mean, the Godzilla is so smart to it, damn it, he figured out, okay, that his power is enough, damn it, to KO, to KO the Hulk, which is by way via through his damn, by biting his body and shooting his blast through his body. Now, stop it. Stop it. For like, only those who are powerful enough yet to destroy universes who have came forth, have been proven to be the only ones who's been able to stop, or who have stopped the Hulk before. And then motherfuckers like, man, that's Godzilla, right? That's God. Motherfucker, no, fuck you. That's the Incredible Hulk. Hmm? All right, Godzilla, do that to Titan Hulk. I don't think that was the Immortal Hulk. I don't think he said that was the Immortal Hulk. But do that to the Titan Hulk, damn it. Hey, you may not need to enlarge that motherfucker. You know what I mean? You don't need to turn him into kaiju mode. He'll take Godzilla out just as he is. Shit. But I'm like, then again, I'm like, damn. Yeah, that mech suit, that was badass. That may be the badass thing, man. Hey, that may be the talk man of the town, man, for a minute. That may be one of the talks of geekdom for a minute, man. They came out with a whole MCU Omega mech suit comprised of all the different heroes. They established their own like Voltron, Power Rangers shit, teamwork going on. I'm like, okay, I want to see. I'm curious to see how this mech suit is going to do. Yeah, he's right because Godzilla's there at Wakanda now, and if that is that's his plan, his trump card, trump card, then he better hope that work because if not, hey, I would say Godzilla's maybe powerful enough to destroy the universe because I mean, like there's cosmic entities there, which yeah, are not gonna just sit idly by and allow their universes just to be destroyed by this motherfucker. So now they're nah. So yeah, I think Godzilla may end up being stop like completely like forever. Before that's allowed by those who are the powers that be in the Marvel universe, the higher ups, if you will. So yeah, let's go on to the next one, man. That was cool. That was pretty cool. Shout out to Dopespill Comics.
Since the beginning of Berserk, we've been wondering just how it's possible to defeat godlike beings. The God Hand is one of the most overpowered groups of antagonists in manga history, and the reason for that is they don't have a physical existence. Like the Cenobites from Hellraiser that inspired them, they live in a completely different dimension, but unlike them, the God Hand doesn't have bodies. That's a major reason why Griffith has become a DEFCON 1 level threat, because technically speaking, nobody can touch him. When he gave his soul to the Abyss, his body became impervious to all mortal damage, but his body isn't just his anymore. In this video, we'll be exploring how Griffith's hybrid existence could prove to be his undoing, and how the Moonlight Boy could be responsible for it all. That said, without further ado, let's get into it. What we know about hybrids. Hybrids are extremely rare in Berserk, mostly because astral creatures don't show themselves so easily anymore. For 1,000 years, they've been fading into the background until finally they turned into actual myths and legends. We're sure that hybrids existed aplenty back when the physical and astral worlds were one and the same, but up until the Fantasia arc, that hasn't been the case for a long time, which makes hybrids immensely powerful. They're born when entities from the physical and astral worlds copulate, and such unions create entities with overwhelming authority over both domains. Hybrids have immense potential hidden within their mixed blood. The first proper hybrid we were introduced to was Yzma, the daughter of a human and a marrow. Even before she discovered she was a hybrid, Yzma was blessed with incredible sea legs because she could swim like a fish. But as soon as she learned her true nature and activated her abilities, she became part fish literally, because she now had a tail to help her swim. Yzma's instinctive grasp over her marrow powers is amazing, considering the fact that the only time we see her using them is her first time. To kick things off, she rescued Isidro from a rather deep fall into the ocean and shot back up like a flying fish, landing safely on the deck as if she'd been doing this for years. Then, she re-entered the ocean and joined up with her marrow mom and the rest of her tribe to sing a song that was powerful enough to help defeat the sea god. The sea god was an Emperor Ganishka level threat, especially when he entered his Shiva form, and Yzma had no prior experience using the marrow's singing ability, but she executed it perfectly on her first try, which hints at an immense potential for magic lying deep within her. This kind of thing wouldn't have been possible had she not lived by the ocean her entire life, and if she wasn't a hybrid. Fiction loves giving people power upgrades based on mixed bloodlines, and that's true for Berserk as well. The Demon Child was barely 2 years old during the Conviction arc when he spent nearly all of his life force trying to protect Casca. As a human fetus corrupted by a demonic seed, he wasn't conceived as a hybrid, but he was certainly born as one. When he popped out of Casca, the Demon Child could fit in your palm, but he rapidly grew into the size of a 2-year-old with some of the most disquieting disfigurations plaguing his body. He had tendrils for limbs, his head looked like a massive cancerous tumor, and he had a tail to top things off. But his power certainly couldn't be denied, because even before his birth, he managed to keep dead souls away from Casca, despite her possessing the brand of sacrifice. As a being that was corrupted by a God Hand member, one of the strongest manifestations of evil in this universe, the Demon Child took on aspects of their power. Soul manipulation is perfectly within the jurisdiction of the God Hand, who can summon the friggin' vortex of souls with a hand gesture. The Demon Child being able to do the same thing even before he's born proves that his existence is broken. This kid can traverse the depths of the astral world to find its parents every night of the full moon, and the deeper paths of the astral world are feared by even the most skilled magi in this world. Before the Conviction arc began, the child was able to interpret the causal current and warn Guts about what would happen to Casca in St. Albion if he didn't rush over to her, and during Casca's stay in St. Albion, the Demon Child exhibited powers that are frankly ludicrous. For over a month, he protected his mother from dead spirits, possessed corpses, demon flames, and everything in between, showing up right when Casca was in trouble and disappearing when the job was done. It's no exaggeration to say that 80% of the reason she stayed alive during that arc was this kid, and this kid could do things that even Guts couldn't. Protecting Casca from the bloody blobs of the incarnation ceremony without using fire is something only the Demon Child could have done, because it shares the God Hand's DNA. And a huge reason behind his accelerated growth rate and miraculous powers is his hybrid nature. Sadly, after protecting his mother from a barrage of quote-unquote holy flames being spit from the mouth of the biggest fanatic of the series, the Demon Child exhausted all of its life force. He might have been mighty impressive, but he was still just a child and not in full control of his powers. He spent everything he had to keep Casca safe, because the child instinctively wanted to protect its mother. The result was that the Demon Child child came within a hair's breadth of dying, and that's why hybrids are important to the series. Though they have immense power, they are vulnerable to death, because part of them will always be mortal. In Berserk, while human beings can be killed with weapons like swords and sabers, astral beings cannot. They can only be killed with weapons that are imbued with astral powers, or people who are interstitial by nature, like guts. But hybrids can be killed with traditional weapons, provided you can get close enough to them. As an added debuff, once a hybrid becomes a part of an astral plane, they become spiritually entangled with it, to the point of disappearing when the plane disappears. Yzma started out as this island girl whom the crew rescued from the sea god in Solitude, but after reaching Elfhelm, she was accepted by its inhabitants. Due to her hybrid nature, she disappeared when Griffith and Zod destroyed the island's spirit tree, and that can potentially happen to the demon child as well if he spiritually identifies with a place. In fact, his comings and goings are closely tied to the lunar cycle, as is the case for most demonic entities in Berserk. So why are we talking about all these things that can happen to a hybrid? Well, we're doing it to point out the fact that despite their great powers, hybrids are vulnerable to a number of things, even more so than astral or physical beings. And whether he likes it or not, Griffith's fate is entangled with Berserk's most powerful hybrid. Why Moonlight Boy could be Griffith's undoing. Their hybrid nature makes them vulnerable. The incarnation ceremony was supposed to do one thing and one thing only: provide Griffith a vessel through which he could harness his godlike powers in the physical world. As a God Hand member, Griffith became an abstract concept and could only influence the world through the collective consciousness. Well, that's good for his goals because he now has the power to influence unconscious thought on a species-wide scale. It isn't good enough to help him become king. Griffith has always known that in order to fulfill his dream, he needs to be out there in the physical world, putting his face on stuff and erecting monuments that will immortalize his legacy. But he couldn't do that as long as he was a metaphysical being. The God Hand may have immense power, but most of that power can only be displayed within the astral world, and that world had been cut off from the physical world for centuries. So in order to affect the material world, Griffith needed a body of flesh with which he could operate freely. This would allow him to bring his invulnerability to the physical plane while negating all the drawbacks of his astral existence. With a body of flesh, he could command campaigns directly and have no concerns about losing, since he is, in effect, a god on Earth. But where things went wrong for him was when his incarnation vessel decided to get ideas of its own. The egg of the perfect world, which had been given a behelit-like form for the express purpose of bringing Griffith to Earth, decided that it would put the demon child out of its misery, not by killing it, but by adding it to Griffith's birthing cradle. The egg swallowed the child and kept it within himself, so when the incarnation ceremony reached its climax, Griffith's incarnation was inevitably altered. Instead of creating a body from scratch using the flesh and blood of the people that were sacrificed by the ceremony, the egg channeled all that power into the demon child's body. The child transformed from a hideous malformed baby into a human one, and then rapidly grew into Griffith's adult form. This didn't mean that the incarnation wasn't a success because its end goal was achieved, but the process was flawed because it turned Griffith into a hybrid instead of a purely divine figure. When he manifested through the demon child's body, the child's consciousness didn't vanish. Being part God Hand himself, the kid was able to resist and find a tiny corner for himself within Griffith's mind. Because of that, Griffith's soul now shares a rental space with the baby he corrupted, and their agreement looks something like this. On most days, Griffith has control and is allowed to do whatever he wants in service of his dream or whatever, but on the night of a full moon, the kid takes over. At first, Griffith was unaware of this transformation, but as soon as he figured out what was happening to him once a month, he realized he couldn't keep disappearing like that all the time. So, in order to fix this problem, he kidnapped Casca from Elfhelm because for some reason, even when he was in control, he couldn't hurt her. When Griffith met Guts for the first time after his incarnation, his new right-hand man Zod duked it out with the Black Swordsman in an epic battle. It destroyed the elf cave where Casca used to live as a branded individual, and that cave was the only safe place for her. When Zod's apostle body crashed into it, it sent boulders flying into the air, and one of those boulders was headed straight for Casca. Guts thought he'd lost her for sure when Griffith swooped in and protected her with his powers. As soon as he realized what he'd done, he called off Zod and flew away because he wasn't the person who protected her. The demon child's extreme desire to protect his mother made Griffith's body move involuntarily. And that is why hybrids are so important in the world of Berserk. Right now, Casca is probably the only person who's safe from Griffith in terms of physical harm because the child sharing his body simply won't allow it to happen. And because this kid shares soul space with the God Hand member, he also imparts unto him the many vulnerabilities of the hybrids of Berserk. When Griffith is in the driver's seat, he can't can't be touched because he's in full control of his God Hand powers. If anyone tries to attack him, they pass right through him because he can seemingly phase in and out of existence. That's understandable since God Hand members are fundamentally intangible, and Griffith might actually be sending his physical form into the astral world for those brief moments where he's untouchable. But his counterpart, aka the Moonlight Boy, has never shown such an ability because the Moonlight Boy is most likely vulnerable to all kinds of regular damage. Remember, this kid is a hybrid. This means that its power is greater than a human's or a demon's, but its vulnerabilities are twice as many as well. The Moonlight Boy has a set of powers that are completely different from Griffith's, and while those powers are impressive, they aren't as impressive as being able to pass through a hail of arrows. The Moonlight Boy can manipulate Ode, project his luminous body, and navigate the dragon path of the astral world. That last bit is something he could do as the demon child as well, but the former two are powers that are usually used by mages. When Guts and his crew are attacked by Pishacha the first time around, one of them closes in on the women and children, but the Moonlight Boy uses Ode manipulation to glare it away. On multiple occasions, this kid has used his luminous body to calm down Guts after he goes berserk, and in the battle with the Sea God, he saved Guts' life. The Moonlight Boy used his luminous body to guide the Black Swordsman out of the dying god's massive body, and that's something even a mage as skilled as Shirke wasn't able to do. At Elfhelm, the Moonlight Boy quickly became the ringleader of the gnomes and elves because his tranquil, magnetic life force was just so damn powerful. But despite all that, there's no indication that he cannot be killed, which is the first way in which being a hybrid threatens Griffith's life. All anyone needs to do is figure out his full moon routine and then kill the baby that comes out of it. Granted, that won't be easy because said baby can do magic, but that baby is also mortal, which means one crossbow bolt from a well-placed archer is all it would take. We've already learned that his soul and Griffith's are inextricably linked from the instance where the latter involuntarily protected Casca, so taking the Moonlight Boy out would kill Griffith's soul as well, thus saving the world. The other way in which being a hybrid allows the Moonlight Boy to be Griffith's undoing is the system of real names that's in place in the astral world. Every astral creature we've met in this series has been lying to us because, in truth, their stated names aren't their actual names. Puck's soul name isn't Puck, Ivalira's soul name isn't Ivalira, and Yzma discovering her soul name was what allowed her to access her marrow powers in the first place. When she was about to tell Isidro what that name is, Ivalira shut her up and explained that astral creatures don't share soul names for a reason. If another person were to learn that name, they could use it to bind the astral creature to their will and manipulate them however they saw fit. The reason this applies to Griffith's situation is because, as far as we know, the Moonlight Boy doesn't have a name yet. In Yzma's case, her human name was given to her by her father, but her marrow name was given to her by her mother. However, the Moonlight Boy is unique in that both his parents are humans, and he's essentially a mutated being. This means that whatever name Casca gives him could end up becoming his soul name as well, and this name could prove to be the instant downfall of Griffith's ambitions. Let's say Casca calls the boy Chuck. It's a good name, so not only would he be bound to her whenever she called him Chuck, everyone who knows that his name is Chuck would be able to exercise control over him as well. And if that happened, a person could theoretically trap Griffith within the boy. They could say something like, Chuck, don't let that shockingly attractive demon regain control of your body, and Griffith's soul could be trapped forever. This is possible because Chuck has a portion of the God Hand's power, which is sheer poetic irony if you ask us. The very child he tainted would now imprison him within itself for all eternity, or die taking him with it. Either way, the result would be the same, which is why rescuing Casca is such an important subject. If she's in the right hands at the right time, the entire endgame of Berserk could just be centered around a daycare. The Moonlight Boy won't attack her, and if she tells him to hold off Griffith forever, he'd give his life to do that. If he dies, so does Griffith, which is why the Falcon must now hate full moons. The fact that being a hybrid will eventually cause Griffith's downfall gives us a measure of satisfaction as well, because the Moonlight Boy / demon child didn't ask for his fate to be what it was. This child would have been a normal kid had Griffith not been so fond of clotted cream pies, so the corrupted defeating the corruptor acts as a nice full circle moment. In any case, the point of this video was to illustrate to you why the Moonlight Boy's hybrid nature could end up being Griffith's downfall, and we think we've done that sufficiently. From mortality to mentality to mobility, we've covered every base we wanted to cover. The rest depends on Studio Gaga, because this is just our opinion on something we think is criminally overlooked by the fandom. Having said that, thanks for sticking with us right to the end, because Marvelous verdict. That's all we've got for you guys. Let us know what you think about the Moonlight Boy and Griffith's relationship and how it might affect the endgame of Berserk in the comments down below. At this point, we think pretty much everyone agrees that if Guts doesn't gain the power of goodness or something, then his son will have to pick up the slack for him, which is actually low-key funny because he doesn't even know the Moonlight Boy is his son. But putting that aside, what do you guys think? We're desperate for more Berserk, and we'd love some fan theories to get us through the night. Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more top-tier Berserk content being stabbed into the back of your newsfeed. We'll see you guys again.
Now, the Moonlight Boy and Griffith, yeah, that's an interesting one right there. Yeah, he's right, because like if somebody wanted to take him out, all they had to do is learn his routine of when he turns into the Moonlight Boy and have a well set placed archer in place, to take him out. It could be one way to take Griffith out, or possibly push him back to the press him back to the astral world completely. That's taking the physical body away from him that he needs in order to move around freely in the physical world. So, and Guts, yeah, I mean, there may be some link between the Moonlight Boy and Guts if Guts chooses the path of goodness in that one chamber that he's in. So if he chooses the right path, then I mean, yeah, it's gonna be something. So yeah, it's gonna shake up the whole Berserk world, and it may involve something around where Guts may have to forgive Griffith, but and just still be on the path of focusing on taking out the evil, that's plaguing the world. He can give up his desire for vengeance and still, have a path set to take out evil, which is the God hand in them. But yeah, I'm gonna play this other video real quick where there's a list of different animes, a bunch of animes that has I think it's like 7 animes that have basically over 100 episodes, 100 episodes each. Yeah, so let's check that out real quick.
Hello folks, welcome to another marvelous anime video. In the world of anime, not all stories can be told within the space of a dozen or so episodes. Well, there are some stellar shows out there that have delivered to us mind-blowing stories in a much more concise format. Some adventures are so grand, so emotionally rich, and so action-packed that they need a minimum of 100 episodes or more to fully unfold. These long-running series go beyond quick thrills. They offer deep world-building, complex character arcs, and narratives that sometimes take years to evolve. For newcomers, the sheer length of these shows might seem daunting, but for seasoned fans, it's a sign of something special, a chance to immerse yourself in a universe that grows with each episode. From legendary quests to spiritual battles across time, these anime have captivated audiences worldwide and continue to be must-watch staples in the anime community. In our video today, we have purposely left out the 4 most prominent names in the industry that fit this bill perfectly, namely Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Naruto. This is because almost everyone out there, even remotely associated with anime, has heard of these juggernauts. What we wanted to do was put before you anime that might not be as legendary as these works, but are completely iconic in their own right. Whether you're looking for intense action, heartfelt drama, or a mix of both, here are 7 anime series with over 100 episodes each that are absolutely worth the journey. Let's begin. Yu Yu Hakusho. Let's start things off with a classic right off the bat. Yu Yu Hakusho is a shonen manga series written by Japanese mangaka Yoshihiro Togashi, that made its debut in the weekly Shonen Jump magazine in 1990. It's currently one of the best-selling manga of all time, having sold over 50 million copies worldwide. It was therefore not a surprise that the series would receive an animated adaptation as well. The series, produced by Studio Pyro, would air from 1992 to 95, totaling 125 episodes. The series incorporates elements from the supernatural and martial arts genres, along with the usual coming-of-age stories found in most shonen shows. The plot is centered around a high school delinquent with a golden heart called Yusuke Urameshi. Having been mostly neglected by his alcoholic mother, Yusuke is a hard-headed high schooler who is constantly getting into brawls with almost every single delinquent in the city. Presented to us as an incorrigible, violent youth, a sudden act of kindness forever changes his life. Yusuke saves a young child from getting hit by an oncoming vehicle, only to be killed in the process. What's even worse is that in the afterlife, he finds out that the child was destined to have been miraculously saved anyways. His intervention only resulted in the child getting an additional scratch. However, thanks to his genuinely good heart, he's revived and assigned to work for the spirit world as a detective to take down supernatural cases. The anime evolves over time from being detective-centric to more of a martial arts series, but doesn't do so to the detriment of the narrative. If you love the animation style from the early 90s and a story that's action-packed without compromising emotional beats, Yu Yu Hakusho will instantly appeal to you. Unlike most animes that go over 100 episodes, Yu Yu Hakusho has a minimal amount of filler, the arcs being concise and the climaxes feeling earned. It's also worth mentioning that the English dub for this adaptation is one of the best there is. This series holds up both in its visuals and its narrative, even 30 years after its release, making this one a no-brainer recommendation. Gintama. Suppose you enjoy fourth-wall breaking humor that thrives by providing satire on the anime and manga industry, along with society in general, while parodying some of the most popular anime of all time. In that case, Gintama is something you cannot miss. Based on the popular manga series written and illustrated by Japanese manga artist Hideaki Sorachi, this series would be first adapted into an OVA before developing into a full-fledged anime series that ran for a total of 367 episodes. Gintama is set in an alternate timeline of Edo, Japan, where the Tokugawa shogunate has been overthrown by aliens instead of the Meiji Restoration. The cowardly shogun has ceded control to these extraterrestrial beings and outlawed the use of swords. We follow the main character, Gintoki Sakata, a laid-back freelancer, along with his two compatriots, Shinpaki Shimura, a nerdy samurai, and Kagura, an ultra-strong alien girl, as they take on odd jobs and missions. Throughout their adventures, they make numerous references to shows like Bleach, One Piece, and Naruto, to name a few, while also making fun of specific historical figures and Japanese societal norms. While the story is heavily comedic in nature, it's delicately balanced between episodic and shorter arcs, even as a richer overarching plot develops in the background. The series is definitely unique with regard to the content it offers, with publications in Japan describing it as bizarre and weird. However, beyond the comedy, like most well-written satire, the series explores more hard-hitting topics such as social inequalities and the results of oppression. We feel that getting the ending of a series right is extremely difficult for most shows. In this regard, Gintama absolutely sticks the landing. If you want a show that'll make you laugh like a maniac, provoke your thoughts, and give you a satisfying sense of closure, then Gintama is something that you absolutely can't overlook. Trust us, those 367 episodes will fly by in no time. Sailor Moon. There are many things that make Sailor Moon unique. For instance, it's one of the few manga series that was written in conjunction with its anime adaptation. This series, written and illustrated by mangaka Naoko Takeuchi, absolutely revolutionized not only the Mahou Shoujo or magical girl genre, but also the anime and manga landscape. The Mahou Shoujo genre predates Sailor Moon, but works in that genre previously dealt with problems that one could find in a shoujo or slice-of-life series. Naoko Takeuchi would arrive with Sailor Moon and throw that convention out the window, completely flipping the entire genre on its head. While retaining the feminine charm of the older shows, Sailor Moon would be injected with several tropes and themes that were only found up until then in shonen manga. It not only empowered women and young girls by portraying them as proper badasses, it also attracted a fresh wave of male viewers who might never have otherwise engaged with the genre. When Usagi Tsukino, a middle school girl, receives the power to transform into the titular Sailor Moon, having received her powers from a black cat called Luna, her entire world is changed forever. As Tsukino begins to gather allies and come to terms with her powers, she becomes a savior of the weak and a bane for evildoers. Her transformation from a self-proclaimed cyborg to an iconic heroine who has inspired generations of fans is something to behold. The anime features a robust roster of characters, all of whom have been created with deep layers and complexity. While in most shows, this level of detail would be reserved only for a select few characters, Sailor Moon doesn't discriminate. Every other Mahou Shoujo anime after Sailor Moon follows the template established here, from the tropes to the style of transformation. The show has also aged gracefully over the years, making it an easy watch even so many decades later. Sailor Moon was a breath of fresh air and showed the world that shows with female leads could also draw in audiences. From inspiring future shows in the genre, to being studied in universities for its cultural impact, to even spawning a real-life idol group, Sailor Moon has firmly established its legacy as one of the greatest anime of all time. So, if you're a fan of the Mahou Shoujo genre or are looking to dip your toes into it, Sailor Moon is definitely the place to start. 200 episodes spread out over 5 seasons, there's plenty to keep you occupied for quite a while. Hunter x Hunter. After Yu Yu Hakusho, we have yet another anime based on manga written and illustrated by the legendary mangaka Yoshihiro Togashi, called Hunter x Hunter. The manga has been adapted a couple of times over the years. The first adaptation, in 1999, ran for about 62 episodes before being cancelled. That version of the anime had considerably toned down violence and mature themes. This would be followed up by an OVA, after which we would get yet another fully fledged anime adaptation that was way more faithful to the source material in 2011. This anime adaptation would run for a total of 148 episodes. In the world of Hunter x Hunter, individuals who hold the title of hunters are exceptionally gifted people who travel around the world tracking down rare beasts, treasures, and even other individuals. They are an elite group selected through rigorous examination and possess numerous benefits, including access to places that are otherwise out of bounds for normal civilians. They utilize an energy called Nen, which is essentially their life force, to manifest fantastical powers and abilities both for offense and defense. The story revolves around a young boy named Gon Freaks who has grown up on a remote island, believing himself an orphan. However, after his father's apprentice, Kite, reveals to him that not only is his father still alive, he's also a world-renowned hunter, young Gon decides to leave his home in search of his father and become a hunter himself. To this end, during his journey, he makes friends with numerous characters, the most important of whom are Kurapika, the last survivor of a slaughtered clan, Killua, who was the scion of the famous assassin family called the Zoldycks, and Leorio, an aspiring physician who wishes to take advantage of the perks provided by being a hunter. Gon and his friends are tested both physically and emotionally through their various adventures, as each tries to fulfill their own dreams. The anime doesn't cover the entire manga because the series is still ongoing and known for its irregular updates due to the mangaka's unfortunate health. Despite this, Hunter x Hunter is frequently cited by fans and critics as one of the most popular anime of all time. The 2011 anime adaptation is praised for its animation quality, voice acting, and overall faithfulness to the manga. It's inspired shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, and Attack on Titan. If you're a fan of any of these shows, Hunter x Hunter is a must-watch for you. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a multi-generational saga that's still ongoing to this day. Based on the eponymous manga series written by Hirohiko Araki from 1987, and with a total of 134 volumes as of April 2024, the series is divided into 9 major story arcs, with each anime adaptation covering these various arcs. Each story arc follows the adventures of a new protagonist nicknamed JoJo, who traces their descent back to Jonathan Joestar, the protagonist of the very first arc. Whoever bears the name JoJo is burdened with the family legacy of fighting supernatural threats like vampires and other mystical creatures. The saga begins when a jealous adopted son of the Joestar family, Dio Brando, a name most anime fans should recognize even if they've never seen the series, comes into contact with a mysterious mask that turns him into an immortal vampire. Dio continues to torment generations of Joestars either directly or through his legacy, as each JoJo tries to finally rid the world of this menace. Despite its flamboyant and over-the-top characters, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure contains extremely mature thematic dichotomies like life versus death, purity versus corruption, and human will versus monstrous ambition. The series offers a fresh perspective on what a vampire is, diverging significantly from our traditional understanding of this iconic monster. There's a lot of gore and violence in the series, making it unsuitable for children and those with a squeamish stomach. Araki's masterpiece has transcended its medium and become an indelible part of pop culture through memes and constant references to other works. You'd be hard-pressed to find an anime fan who hasn't heard of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and if you are one of them, we strongly recommend you check out this generational anime. Katekyo, Hitman Reborn. Let's move on to what is perhaps the most underrated series amongst all the shows that we've featured here today. We're talking about the anime adaptation of Akira Amano's hit manga series, Katekyo, Hitman Reborn. The series would be adapted by Studio Artland and would run for 4 years in between 2006 and 2010. It would air for a total of 203 episodes, entertaining fans with a unique blend of supernatural, mafia, action, and comedy narratives. Set in the fictional town of Namimori, timid young boy named Tsunayoshi Suna Yamada is identified as the heir to the Von Gola family, which is the most powerful mafia family since its inception 400 years ago. The current head of the Von Gola family dispatches an infant Hitman Reborn to mentor Suna, becoming a person fit to take on the mantle of the Von Gola family head. Reborn employs an interesting technique called the Dying Will Bullet, which compels the person shot to pursue their final regret, powerful determination after being resurrected. Through this method, the hesitant and shy Suna begins to break out of his shell as he becomes increasingly powerful and confident. However, standing in his road to succession are many foes who deem him unworthy and will do anything to stop him. He therefore creates his own core group comprised of Reborn and other cast members he befriends along the way to help him achieve his goal. The story, which initially kicks off as an ordinary mafioso tale, quickly evolves into a sci-fi supernatural show as Suna and his friends traverse time, space, and parallel universes while fighting demons. Suna's journey from a timid youth to a true boss is both emotional and explosive. Let's highlight a few points that made this stellar anime so underrated. The first several episodes of the series are mostly comedic in nature, which turned off a lot of action fans. There's also no English dub, which hampered its overall impact globally, despite being wildly popular in Japan. The most egregious flaw, however, has to be the fact that the anime doesn't adapt the final arc of the manga. Despite this, the series still has a cult following and is definitely worth watching. Inuyasha. Inuyasha is an anime based on the eponymous manga written and illustrated by Rumiko Takahashi, one of the most celebrated mangakas from Japan. The original anime aired for a total of 167 episodes from the year 2000 to 2004, faithfully following the manga and only leaving out the final arc. A 26-episode-long adaptation aptly titled The Final Act would animate the remaining chapters of the manga and bring the series to a conclusion. The story is mostly set in Sengoku-era Japan, with it occasionally switching to modern times. It follows the story of a young high school girl named Kagome, who was transported to the Sengoku era after she falls down the well present in her family's shrine. Upon emerging from the well, she comes across a half-demon by the name of Inuyasha, who has been pinned to a tree by a spiritual arrow. Kagome proceeds to break his seal, freeing him. Inuyasha is, however, confused because Kagome is the spitting image of his former love, Kikyo, who was his captor and a supremely powerful priestess. We soon learn that Kagome is a future reincarnation of Kikyo and possesses the all-powerful Shikon Jewel. However, during a conflict, Kagome shatters this powerful artifact, which leads to her teaming up with Inuyasha to recover the fragments before they fall into the wrong hands. Through their journey across the mystical lands of feudal Japan, they must fight demons and humans alike who seek the jewel shards for their own nefarious purposes. The two end up making friends with a cursed, lecherous monk named Miroku and a female demon huntress named Sango to aid them in their journey. As the story unfolds, we learn about each of their tragic and complicated pasts and why they journey to reclaim the jewel. Inuyasha served as a gateway anime for many fans thanks to its run on networks like Adult Swim and Toonami. Decades later, this anime still commands a massive global fan base, which is reflected in the amount of discussions regarding it in forums and the cosplays you see in conventions. This anime has the right balance of action and drama, making it an easy watch. While some of the animes on this list might divide opinions amongst fans, Inuyasha is a safe bet if you're looking to invest your time in an anime that's about 100 episodes long. Marvelous verdict! We understand that diving into an anime with over 100 episodes may seem like a huge commitment. Still, the depth, world building, and character development offered by these long-running series are unmatched. Whether you're drawn in by the epic battles of Yu Yu Hakusho, the emotional weight of Hitman Reborn, the fantasy adventure of Inuyasha, or the relentless pacing of Hunter x Hunter, these anime offer something truly special. Each series on this list has earned its place through a combination of memorable storytelling, iconic characters, and cultural impact. They've not only withstood the test of time, but continue to inspire new generations of fans and creators worldwide. If you're ready to invest in a story that grows with you emotionally, thematically, and in terms of the narrative, these anime that we've picked for our video today will reward your time with unforgettable journeys. So grab your popcorn or your ramen, pick a series, and prepare to be pulled into a world that's hard to leave. While you enjoy these anime, it's time for us to say goodbye. Thanks for sticking with us right to the end of this one. If you liked our content, be sure to check out the rest of our channel where we post videos featuring all of your favorite anime and manga daily. We hope to see you soon. Until then, stay safe and stay marvelous.
Well, that'll do it. All right, y'all. So yeah, we're gonna get on it. Yeah, because we got some anime to watch, and I would say according to that list, yeah, I know you're like Ray, what are you doing, man? That show was awesome, man. You should have been on that, man. You sleeping? Yeah, man. Well, not that I'm sleeping on certain shit. It's just the fact that I have other shit that's lined up. That's that takes more priority. As everybody has their priority list. And then merging with that list, you have, that's the ranks, below that priority list. Then once you get that done, then boom, then you bump some shit up to you promote certain shows up to into your priority list now. Unless something comes out, because you got that too, where something will come out that you've been following, and you're like, ooh, damn. Hence, like what we're doing, with this Kingdom shit. Hence, like what I'm doing now with y'all, showing y'all this, going through this recap, this wonderful recap. Hey, this replay value that I'm enjoying, it's totally awesome. So, I don't regret it all, and so I'm kind of geeked, to be able to have something like this, to share with you guys. So, yeah, and man, because it's gonna be amazing. Because I want to see you guys. I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. You guys that are following the show, Kingdom. And we'll also be showing the live movies. So you guys will be watching it with me, for the first time. So yeah, it will be my first time watching it. So yeah. Um, but yeah, just get immersed into it, so we can discuss, so we can um, express about what you think about, when it comes to the intense battles and intense strategic battles and and tactics and very intense politics. Yeah. So as you will see, all that's you know highly synonymous. But yeah. So we're gonna get on it. Hit the like, share, subscribe, follow, and yeah, we gotta get on it, man. Cause there's shit to watch. So like I said, I don't give a damn what time I start. I'm gonna start. We get fired up. So yeah, I already got it all set and ready. So you may end up waking up seeing me, I ain't playing this anime. You may end up popping in on the episode. Who knows? But yeah. So look, because I'm looking at the time what it is right now. So yeah, I don't care. But yeah, we gotta go because there's some awesome shit happening with those of us who are current in the in this series right now. Some some very heated shit going on. So yeah. So just get on it. This your guy Ray Hanma. One versus a million. I'm not your friend. I'm not your fan. I'm not your stan. For I am brother. Peace out. And also don't forget to hit the Cash App if you're willing. Hey, Cash App should be in the description.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm. Kindness, kinship. Love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, they set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything!